truth is that I had quite a bit of money as a child. People thought that was the happiness. I had access to 4 or 5 cars in my house. I could literally sponsor a university girl when I was in Form 3. I had that much money available to me. But
what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. If you are new here, hi, you are welcome. My name is Joecy. On this channel I create content around food, family, my life as a wife and mom, and just me being Joecy, doing the things that I like. And sometimes I have chit chat about very relatable topics like this one that we're going to be having today. If this sounds like something that interests you, kindly subscribe and do not forget to turn on the notification bell if you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new video. So today we are going to be having a chat around depression. I know some of you might be wondering why depression. I believe that it's a topic that can resonate with a lot of people. That is why I've brought this very popular face on the channel. But if you are new here, I'll let him introduce himself. So Boo, you're welcome to the channel.
Yes, hello, my name is Christian Nanga. I'm the husband of Miss Joecy. And
he seems to be the one who is, I don't know, depressed. I'm the happy one, so I brought him on the channel.
There's nobody who is the happy one. Everybody has
I am the happy one today. Today.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah.
I'm the happy one today. So anyways, guys, so Boo, how are you?
I'm fine.
I've actually seen a lot of cases on social media where people are talking about being depressed, and you know, what would you say is depression?
Well, thank you for asking. Depression is a whole book. It's a whole level.
Okay.
I've dealt with depression. I have a bit of a past history with depression. I've been on antidepressants for quite some time. I had to come off antidepressants because it made me feel uncomfortable. Well, it made me feel inhuman. I have a bit of an experience with depression. I'm sure you know about that.
Yeah, of course I know about that. For how long did you take antidepressants?
Well, I was supposed to take it for a longer period, but I think about 2 years.
When you used to take it, how did it make you feel?
Well, it made me feel weird. I was on antidepressants because I was almost bipolar, which is some next level. But it's meant to stabilize you so you don't get too happy or too angry, you know. Okay. I was at that point, well, depression had led me to that point where I could be very angry or very happy, and that could switch like from one point to the next, you know, and in the next minute I could be super happy, and within the next minute I could be so angry that I can't even control myself, you know. So that's, you know, what I went through when it comes to depression. But it's not just something where you say it happens like you have an accident. You know, depression is not something that happens accidentally. It builds.
Okay.
Yeah. So depression is something that builds over time. It's one of those things where when someone ends up being depressed, it's a long walk before he got there or before she got there. So in many ways, there's gonna be opportunities and red flags that, you know, that person would have missed, or the people around that person would have missed. But the question is, do we know how to identify the red flags?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
because I believe that sometimes people's behaviors can change, and they might not be aware that it's actually depression. They might maybe think that it's just because of situations happening, and they might not know the name to call it.
Yeah, people behavioral change is one
and they might not actually know that they need help.
Yes, it's one of the things. I mean, like, knowing you need help is after you've had a realization that you're sick. But the thing about depression is most times you don't actually know you are sick. The key thing with depression is
sorry for cutting you short. How did you know that you were depressed?
Well, in my case, it's different for everybody.
Okay.
Right? In my case, I realized I was depressed when I was in my previous marriage. Okay. All right. So basically, I was in a marriage, and I realized that I was always in so many moods. Like, I was always up and down and up and down, and it was not a case where necessarily my partner at the time was not so much of the issue, but so many things that had been part of my life growing up and came together at a time when we were also together, and that maybe there was some sort of spark or some sort of what we call it, trigger. And all those things just came out, and sort of like transformed my mood, my emotions, and I couldn't control my emotions. I was just everywhere and nowhere, and I knew that something is definitely broken in me.
Okay.
And I acted out when I realized it. I just decided to just stop everything and just go and get my head sorted.
All right. You sought help by yourself?
Well, I didn't. You see, this is the thing about depression, and I think in most Black communities, or you don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows.
Because sometimes you're not even sure what's going on with you. So you don't know where to go or what to do.
The first thing that happens is everybody thinks, or the people you speak to think, you just need to get yourself sorted, get yourself together. And it's like you are like, well, I think I'm okay. It's a bit more than getting myself together, and well, then you stop talking to people about it, or stop when you start calling people and seeing people to talk about your situations, especially in a relationship or out of a relationship or in a general situation, that's already a sign that something is not right. But our general mindset or our general environments will say, okay, pray about it, okay, just be. And I've come to realize that, personally, my opinion about depression is it's a spirit. I believe it's a spirit, because the way what it's done to me, and how it's affected me, it's been like a hold on my life in many ways, preventing me from enjoying life in so many instances, and holding me back on things which I would have done, which would have made me happier in so many regards. It's stolen a lot of my life, and it's just because I've mastered, I've understood what it is, that I'm perfectly comfortable talking about it. But it's a big thing.
Yeah, I understand that you have understood what it is, and you said at some point you were taking antidepressants, and after a certain time you stopped. So after stopping, do you still feel all that mood swings, or what do you do when this feeling of depression creeps in from time to time? How do you deal with it? Or has it gone away completely, or do you still experience it?
Well, up till about couple of months ago. I used to have panic attacks.
Panic attacks, yeah.
And
Used to be serious.
Yeah, where blood comes out of my mouth and all that. And there were triggers on my panic attack. And there was a song that when I hear that song, it's almost like a machine that just starts. And there's some situations that when I found myself in, it just triggers. So that is, I've not really had any in the last, was it 6-7 months? Well, I think over 7 months that I've not had any
panic attacks. Yeah, no.
But that one is something which I didn't really understand it because I didn't even know when it's like
you don't feel it coming.
It just starts coming when I hear something or I hear some triggers. It just starts coming, and thankfully I've never had an accident because that usually happened when I was driving.
When he was actually driving.
So yeah. Besides that, I think stopping meds for me was a good thing. I would not advise anyone to stop. Okay. I would not advise because I invested a lot of time in trying to read.
What sort of books did you read?
So many books.
Like self-development books, or was it books about how to deal with depression?
Books, spiritual books, a lot of things, trying to understand what it is.
Okay.
And I think I understood myself, what I was going through, because it took me down a journey. And I had to identify where it came from.
Some people, they can be around people who know that this person or what this person is going through is depression, but the person who is experiencing it might be in denial, or maybe the depression might just be too serious that all they are thinking about is the worst thoughts.
Yeah.
Sometimes being suicidal. Has there ever been a point that
I've been suicidal. Yeah, that's almost like something that most people who go through severe depression end up.
How did you come out of? How did you come out of that?
Well, it was an interesting episode in my life. So basically, I tried to kill myself. Yeah, which is something which I would ask myself, like, what the hell were you thinking? But I don't want to go down that path because it's a horrible memory, and it's 100% self-inflicted.
Thank God you did not die. If not today, I don't know. I would not have had a husband.
Yeah, well, you would have had a husband, probably not just me.
Not just you.
So so it's something which happened a while back, and I felt like I was in a trap, and I couldn't get out of the trap.
And the only way out.
I just thought life was just
pointless.
Read my friend, I thought life was just fuckery, and it's funny because when I think about it, I think I'm one of those lucky ones. I'm one of those lucky ones or blessed ones because anybody who looks at me will be like, oh, but this boy, you don't really have a reason to be depressed. Like people think, okay, you're from a good home, your parents had quite a bit of money growing up, you went to a good school, your things got paid for you, you went abroad, life was easy. That's what everybody thinks. And people just think, oh, you don't really have a reason. And sometimes it's even impossible or difficult for me to express myself to people because people already have this view about how rosy my life is.
Yeah.
So it even makes it worse. I've been when I was in London going through university. Even making friends who you can bond with on a certain level was impossible because they have this view about what your life is about. And you're going through stuff and you just put on a face as though everything was okay, or as though you're that person who is fine.
Yeah.
But within you have your own story. You have your history. You have things you've dealt with from childhood. You know, things that were missed out, things that you felt, you know, so much stuff that comes together when you get older.
Yeah.
And unless you deal with those things, you know, you
never go past.
You can never go past. And unfortunately, even parents don't. A lot of parents in Africa don't actually pick up on these things. You know,
sadly,
they don't pick up on it. I mean, you can't blame them. Africa is such a place where you know, everyone is busy trying to survive. You know.
Yeah.
So
and this depression thing, they'll actually just think there's something wrong in your head and you have to you have to get yourself sorted.
So once we say you just need to pray about it.
Yeah.
Which is a solution, but you need to understand how you get to it. You know, that's just one way. You know, if you can sort this thing out, but just saying pray about it is not never the answer. You know, because obviously you still need to know how to pray about it as well. You know, so how to deal with it. So it's been a journey, and I thank God. Yeah, thank God I'm here.
Yeah.
I thank God for those who have supported me along the way. You know, the best thing I've had is I have brothers. You know my brothers. I have the best brothers in the world. You know, I have brothers.
You're really blessed.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I have my brothers who I think I can bank on 100%. You know. And
they're my brother-in-laws.
So,
always priding in them.
Yeah. So yeah, when I got issues, I just talk to them, especially you know with our big brother, that one.
Yeah.
So I used to just ring him for hours and just talk to him for hours.
I know, just having someone to listen to you sometimes can be such a therapy.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. Depression is
unfortunately, sometimes some people don't even trust someone enough to talk to. Or sometimes you try to talk to someone and they don't give you that listening ear. Yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult because you see, with depression, you're dealing with deep things. Yeah. The reason you're depressed
and you have to
is that there's some
enough.
Deep stuff in you.
You have to feel comfortable.
That you need to feel comfortable bringing it out.
Yeah.
You know, and to bring that deep stuff out is so hard. For me, it was hard, but the advantage is it was my brother.
People,
you know, and I couldn't even bring it out to my mother. I couldn't bring out my sister.
Yeah, it can be anybody, just anybody that you feel comfortable talking
with,
to.
You know, and in my case, for example, because since we're here, we're talking as well, sort of like find out, explain the reasons. You know, when I was a kid, when I found out that because there's things that made me emotional when I was dealing with talking, because I spoke to someone eventually, a professional eventually.
Okay.
And I just found myself crying about stuff I thought I did not even care about that much, you know. And that's where I found out that this was stuff that was in me, you know, that I didn't actually realize that did mean so much to me, you know. For example, when I was a child, I was premature.
Yeah.
And as I was premature, I had a very big head, you know, very black, very red eyes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I had red eyes, very big head. Those who went to PNU with me would know I had very red eyes. I had crimson red eyes. And, you know, kids don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah. So I never, I don't play football.
Yeah.
All right. So
you don't even watch it.
I don't watch football.
Yeah.
So it's not because I don't like to even watch it, because I remember when I was a child, because I had a big head and red eyes.
Yeah.
A lot of kids in my class would not really associate with me. You know, when it comes to playing football. Yeah, but you can't blame them.
Kids.
You can't blame them. The kids do what they want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just felt like lonely. as a child. You know, I felt lonely as a child, and this was never picked up. You know, so I had this situation whereby I remember quite clearly the last day I ever tried to play football. Because what are you doing here?
Hello. Hi.
Yes. Yes.
Say hello. Say hi. Hi.
Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye to say
Hi.
bye-bye.
Bye, Abigail. Hi. Bye, Mama. Go upstairs. Go meet Mikaya. Go meet Mikaya, okay? Okay.
I remember the last football I ever tried to play, and that was I went to the field as always to try and play football with my, you know, classmates.
Yeah.
We were only kids, and whenever I go there, because I was the odd-looking one, they will pick, you know, they'll have two captains, and then the captains will pick who they want to members of their team, and I was always sure I was gonna be the last who gets picked if I'm lucky, or the remplaçant, which means they say, okay, go and sit down, reserve person. So this time around, I went to go and I was looking forward to go and play football, just to mingle with kids, other kids.
Yeah.
And basically went, you know, with my funny looks, and I went there, and they picked, and then I was the last standing in the middle of the field as always. And then they went, no, that should go and sit down. If someone doesn't want to play, I can play. And I sat down there waiting. Kids are brutal. Kids can be brutal. I sat down there waiting, and some other boy just came, and straight away they put him in. And then I was like, but I've been waiting. Like, no, okay, you wait. And that just carried on.
They just pick their teammates based on looks.
On looks, who they feel more comfortable with, you know. And when you look odd, kids don't want to be around
and
odd.
I know what that can do to someone.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think I know it can do
a lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of
but
damage.
You see, the thing is, I actually took it in, and it sort of like sent me down a path, you know, where I felt like, okay, I am not good enough, or I am not wanted, you know. And to make things worse, my sister was the opposite. My sister was super beautiful, and everybody wanted to be with my sister. You know, like my sister had people begging to be her friend, you know. So it was like that just made it worse, it just made it 100% more evident to me that something is definitely matched up about me, you know. And so I would be that child who'd be in the house, just sitting behind the house when everybody was in the house, thinking about my life at an age where you shouldn't be thinking.
I know.
You know what I mean?
As a kid, what exactly are you thinking about? You have your bills paid.
Exactly.
You have a roof over your head. You have your school fees paid. All you need to do is study and play.
But at that age, I was just thinking, you know, like I started thinking, okay, how do I get friends? You know, and then every try I make to have friends,
they reject you.
They just like push me away. You know, then I somehow I worked through this, and somehow I managed to have one friend.
Okay.
Yeah, this friend was what's it called? He was mixed race.
Okay.
And in my head, I already knew that one day he will also just abandon me. You know, in your mind as a child, it's hard to say. As a child, I already had that kind of mindset that eventually everybody will abandon me. You know, kind of thing.
Because you're used to getting
I was
abandoned.
so used to getting abandoned. You know, so and the funny thing is, as I was dealing with that stuff, we moved on from primary school into secondary school, and I actually went to the same secondary school as him, just because I was so close to him. Well, I was trying to be so close to him because he was also one of those good-looking kids.
Okay.
And everybody wanted, mixed race. He was handsome, and everybody wanted to be close to him, and I was just lucky to finally through him. Now I was feeling like I'm also a human, because we had a bit of money. His parents had a bit of money as well, but because I was sort of like close to him, I was feeling like what, people see me a bit like human. He was sort of like my humanizer. As a kid, the things you think is weird. And we went to secondary school, and as we went to secondary school, maybe it was already in my mind, but straight away he now had new friends in secondary school, and because he didn't see that I was hanging on to him like, this is the first friend I've really had. Him having new friends, straight in my hand, okay, that's it. My friend is gone. Oh, he's gone about it. And sure as what you think always manifests, he sort of like became more interested in other people. Obviously, he's in a new school. He wants to meet new. But for me, it was a big deal. It was such a big deal that
I know that it's happening again.
Yeah. So it was such a big deal that the funny thing is I was fronting. People were thinking, this child is fine. This they used to call me monks in school, because I was a bit naughty and stuff. It was my own way of dealing with stuff I was doing, of covering stuff I was dealing with at the time as a child.
Okay. And
when I realized that, look, this friend is not really my friend anymore. All those things came at that age. I decided to just leave the school. Yeah.
Was that bad?
My mom came and she visited me, and I just said, what am I doing in school? I just walked out. And that was in the...
Did you tell her why you wanted to leave?
How do you explain that to your mother? You say, it just sounds like something's wrong with you.
I'm sure they'll tell you didn't go to school to make friends.
Yeah, and they won't understand why you and
want to leave
how deep that thing is.
Nobody wants to be your friend.
Yeah, and you want to leave school because the friends you have, they're all artificial, or the friendships you have are because your family bakery was supplying bread to the school. So obviously, because our bakery supplies bread to the school, and people knew that big friends with me, and Nanga Bakery will supply food to, I had a bit of money. The truth, I had quite a bit of money as a child. I had maybe 20, 30 times what most children will have going to school. And kids go to school in those days with like 30,000 francs. I'll be going to school with like 100, 200,000 francs as a child, not even knowing what to do with it. But people thought that was the happiness, and would not understand that that was just nothing. I was dealing with much more deeper stuff. So that's one incident of a few things as a child that got me feeling like I'm second, I'm not good enough. And it's a funny thing because it damages your whole life.
Yes.
Everything you do after is a front. You sort of like front. You spend your whole life trying to, and you have no reason to, because you come from a good home. You have all the opportunities, but because you've had that damage,
had those things, and every other thing that happens just built up on that, and you get to the point where it now becomes depression. Yes,
you at that stage you're still too young to even be depressed. So it's just the seed is it's been planted very well in you, and then now you start going through life. All right, and then when you go through life, little things will happen, and they will now start triggering those other things in the past. So obviously a lot of things happen. For example, when I went through now when I was getting to my as a teenager, I was finding it very difficult to have a girlfriend. So when you're a teenager as boys, they'll think, oh, this because I had access to 4 or 5 cars in my house. I had access to so many. I could literally sponsor a university girl when I was in Form 3. I had that much money available to me, but I could not even get a girlfriend, and I would see now my friends who came from homes.
Was it like you did not have the courage to ask a girl out, or were girls not accepting to date you?
First of all, I did not have the courage because of my history. I had this mindset that no, I'm not good enough, right? And then secondly, I did not even have the friends who would sort of like encourage me to that kind of thing. And they we're kids, so everybody looked after themselves. Everyone was just doing what they could do for themselves, and nobody would care about what's happening to you. So everybody will have girlfriends, and I'll have to just create imaginary girlfriends. You know what I mean? So I'll go to school when they're talking about their girlfriends, boys, they talk about, oh, I'm like, yes, because thankfully this was in the southwest area. So, and I was I lived in Douala. So when they all were all in school talking about our small chicks, and I had to create, and it helped with my creative side of things, because I had to create one whole story about some girl that I was dating in Douala, and how she's so beautiful, and I will create, and I will actually believe my own story, and that will even make me feel good about myself. So I actually create a whole lie just to fit in, so I couldn't have a girlfriend. And then another side of things that still was the seed of what eventually happened when I got married, and how when depression really came out was I realized when I was in Form 3. Was that Form 3? Form 3, Form 4, I think. When I started that if I spent money, money, I would interest. That's the only way I could interest a girl. And the funny thing is that I had friends who had no money, so I already knew that it's only because I'm spending money that these other girls are interested in me. But I felt like, okay, well, that's the only thing I have, I might as well use it. So from that period all the way till I was like 18, I literally bought every girl I dated. You know what I mean? I literally had to buy them, because it's weird, because in your mind you feel like, well, I'll never get accepted if I don't use what I have.
Yeah.
So I ended up dating a lot of francophone girls, because in those days francophone girls, their eye, they don't open. So it's a lot easier when you just show up with a lot of money, and you show up with money that most kids have not even seen in their life. So that was, I could do it because I could. But in me, I knew that I would never date this person if I didn't have this. So that was still very bad for my own,
You started dating quite young.
Yeah, well, at that age, we started dating. I was not dating, to be honest. I wouldn't say my own date story is quite different from the time when I knew that if I flashed some money to some kind of girl.
Anyway, let's not digress.
Yeah.
I think we've already talked. Yeah. I don't know how long this video is, already like 1 hour long.
Yeah. So so yeah, that was another seed.
Yeah.
And so now I moved obviously to America. I moved to America because I decided that I was fed up of everything in Cameroon. I was a bit stubborn as well. At that time, I was acting out already, but I was not acting out. People thought I was acting out because I was just a stubborn kid. I was acting out because I just didn't like anything. I was just fed up with everything. I just not happy with my life and everything. So I was acting out, and I remember trying to date some girl. Some girl in It's funny when you're a kid. It's all about girls, right? At that age, boys, anyways. I was trying to date some girl in Form 5. I was like watching this girl like from beginning of the year to end of the year, and every day I'll say, okay, I'm going to go and talk to her today. As soon as I walk up to the refectory and then I see the opportunity to talk to her, because she was a nice looking girl, another guy just is talking to her. And then he was always like, at one point I was like, well, you know what, forget this, you have no chance with this girl. So, and that happens quite a lot. And that was just damaging me. That was just, you know, it's damaging my confidence basically as a person. And we moved to America, and at least I knew that in my house in Cameroon, because I was my mom's only son, at least I was the focus because I was the boy. You know, at least I knew one thing, my mom loved me a lot. So at least in my house, I was not rejected in my own house, right? When I moved to America, you know, I went to live with an auntie, and straight away, what I noticed was I was no more, even in my house, the focus. So it was very damaging for me, because for me it was like, okay, this is just gone worse. You're not people's focus. People are not particularly interested in you. In your house, you were at least
been there to even give you attention.
Yeah, and now you're out there in the world, and in the home where you're not the focus. So I just hated living in my auntie's house from day one, because I could see that I was not the focus. She was a nice person, you know, but her focus was obviously her own kids.
Yeah.
And it was obvious. She tried, but you can't hide those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you can't.
So I just hated living there. I moved to my brother's house. I mean, kept on moving I ended up living in England. Got to England, started going to university. You know, things started becoming a bit better for me. You know, as obviously with age, maturity, you learn how to deal with certain things, but it was never treated. It was never dealt with really properly. And as soon as I had the opportunity to meet somebody who, you know, initially I fell over heels for as my ex, my thought was, oh, I need to build a family. And then we eventually started dating, and that started coming to me because what happened was I lost my job. So when I lost my job, in my head, as a man, it first of all damages you when you don't have a job, and you know you basically are supposed to be the man of the house. So I lost my job, and during that period where I lost my job, everything went wrong, and all those things came back because I started thinking to myself, oh, now that I don't have a job, definitely everything will go wrong. And everything started going wrong because my value system was based on me having something to show, you know. So not having that job, or not having nothing to show, or just being jobless,
or being able to provide.
Yes, in a relationship.
Yeah.
It made me feel like you're completely useless and you have nothing to offer. And that was one of the triggers that brought out, you know, so much of the stuff that had been planted when I was a kid, to the point where, you know, initially I started getting angry at my partner, you know, and my partner didn't make it easy because obviously she too had her own reasons, her own issues or whatever, you know. It's not easy for some women to deal with a guy who obviously does not have a job, and not only does he not have a job, he's talking about some lofty projects. So I had a lot of ideas and stuff, and so I understand that, you know, she was like, you know, getting a bit fed up. But me, it was not even about that. For me, it was like, okay, my life is over right now. I don't have a job, and clearly I have nothing to offer. So that just took me down a spiral. And when I was down that spiral, it was arguments and fights, and then emotional turmoil, and it just all came out like an ocean, you know, like a wave that was hidden somewhere, and then it was just one horrible place to be. It was just I was in a space that was just negative. I was in the wrong mindset. I was just so everything from there was wrong. We ended up just hating each other. It was like arguments constantly. It was everything was just wrong. And one day I woke up and I just realized myself. I said, look, this thing can never work. I decided, look, I just need to get out of here. Because I would have easily gone to that place where my kid then would have ended up hating me for what I would have done, because you don't know what you can do when you're in a bad place.
Yep.
So the best way is to get out of the bad space and make sure you're not because we can all do things.
Yeah.
And that's depression. So just to show you that
you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, so depression can get you there.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what depression is. And most people will look at it and like, why is he depressed? But there's so many things. That's just my own story, and that's one line, or I've just been able to coordinate a few things that led to one side of depression. I've got like probably 10 other things that I can tell you that led to my depression.
Yeah.
That all stem again from my past.
Yeah.
So that's how depression is. It's
a whole lot of things.
Depression is something which is horrible. I know
that you guys might not know, but I don't know, maybe eventually. Don't know if this is something you would like to talk about again.
If it helps somebody to talk about it, without getting too personal.
Anyway, it depends on you guys. It depends on your response in the comments. If you guys would like for him to come and share more of his stories, the kind of things that he experienced, I can always get him to squeeze out time out of his very busy schedule to come and share with you guys. So
but on a high note, on the good side of things basically is that when you go out of something, when you've dealt with something, it makes you a better person.
Yes.
And I believe that me being the way I am today, it's because of what I've had to deal with. I've had to understand so much stuff about myself. I've gotten to realize that men are almost like machines. What you put in is what you get out. I understand myself like in terms of like a mechanic. I'm like a machine. I know that if I feed myself in with the wrong things, I'll get the wrong results. And I know that there's some screws that if I let loose within me will eventually damage the whole machine. So it's helped me to understand myself a lot better. And I think that has been a bit eventually it's been a blessing. But the downside about depression is like, if you don't watch it, it comes back. It comes back like that. You have to always put yourself in the right space. You have to always intentionally make sure that you're in the right space. If not, it creeps on you. It just creeps on you, and before you know it, you're like, oh, I'm in it again. So you see, that's you notice I spend time trying to make myself happy. I invest in my happiness. Like, it's so important because it's my health. So if it means that I'm selfish sometimes, as you will say I'm being selfish, I just have to do what I feel will make me happy. Without being too selfish, obviously, because I'm in a relationship. So I try to have that balance, right? But there's times when you just have to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, you cannot look after the next person. You need to be happy to be able to emit that happiness. So those things you learn, and thank God that I'm still here. So I hope someone is blessed by hearing that.
I hope so. I know I've heard I've heard some of these things before, but having you say them again is
I find that at the ages of 1 to 7, what happens to a child in that period, you need to be very careful, because that's where the seed, maybe sometimes till about 8.
Parents,
what happens to a child in that period is the most dangerous. Everything after you can fix, but in that period, I don't know who or which religion or which person says that give a child, if you have from a child from the age of 1 to 7, you've got the child forever. I don't know what someone who knows the quote should let us know. From 1 to 7, that child forever has been trained in whatever way you want them. You know, that's the age. 1 to 7.
Train up a child in the way.
No, that's the Bible. That's a different one. Like somebody spoke about a child from 1 to 7, that period, and that's the period.
I don't know. If you guys know,
yes,
drop a comment.
Drop a comment and let us know. I hope it's been enriching.
It has definitely been, and yeah. Thank you so much, Pooh, for agreeing to come and share all of this. And before we go, I know you've spoken a lot. If there's someone watching you now and they are in that state of depression, what would be your one advice, just one word of advice to someone who is watching this video and maybe they don't have anyone to talk to? Yes.
Well, if there's someone out there watching this video and you can relate to what I'm saying, and if there's something I could tell you, is that it's your journey. That's your journey. You know, everybody has a journey. And from the moment you understand that, you know, this is your own particular journey and you can travel it, you can travel. Just know that you can travel it. And you just need to be open-minded, trust in God, get spiritual. That's what I did. Read your Bible, pray, and believe in yourself. You can travel it. You can travel through this journey. It may seem impossible right now. Yeah, because when I was going through it, I felt like I tried to commit suicide, right? Thank God I didn't die. But no matter how bad it is, even if it's that you have 2 months to live, it could be that bad, but you could have a good 2 months to live. You could have a good 2 months to live. Some people live for 1 day more than the next person, but transform the world forever. It takes a day.
Absolutely.
It could take a day to be remembered forever. You know, so travel your journey and believe that you can walk through it, and you can count. You know, so that's what I would say.
Thank you. I know I said that was the last question. Do you have a favorite quote to share with us before we go?
Well, if I had to share a quote, I would say
your favorite quote of all time.
My favorite quotes. I have quite a few quotes. But
one.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That is for me everything. You know, because if the Lord leads you, then what else? You know, what else?
If the Lord leads you,
what else?
What else?
You know.
Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this blessed someone. You guys, please share the video to someone that you think might need it. If you enjoyed watching, like the video. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, kindly consider subscribing. And if you'd like to see him again, drop your comments in the comment section and I will do my best to bring him on the channel again. Stay blessed, stay safe, continue to drink a lot of water, and mind the business that pays you. I love you all, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.